Hello, San Francisco, and welcome once again to the Angelic Troublemakers. I'm your host, Alan Jones. And on today's program, Mommy, Alan's playing the race card again. Of course, I am on a pursuit of egalitarianism. What does the word egalitarian mean? An egalitarian is one who believes that we are all equal. But many people find it really hard to pursue justice and equality when you are speaking on racism the most or continually. Well, I myself find it funny that people, white people, try and tell black people when and when they should not play the race card. I'm going to pull up a statement from the internet. Well, an online comment section is what you're looking at. And this online comment section is from the Chronicle or the, no, it's the, yeah, I think it's San Francisco Chronicle. I made a comment about this past election of London Breed. I don't remember what the comment was, but it was like London Breed being mayor does not stop San Francisco from being racist. And I put a link to an article that I wrote and published to point that out. And one of the people in the comment section, whose name, as you can see at the top, is Jeffrey. And his comment is, most of us don't support racist ranting. It's not applicable to the Bay Area. It's hateful and counterproductive. And he got 2 likes. Well, now, as I said, I find it funny where I'm assuming this is a white man based on other things that this same Jeffrey has written on comment section. Of course, I replied to his comment, and it was, that's the problem. You cannot defeat racism by not talking about it. Then I went on to say, the black people who read my ranting insist I call out all you closet racists. Now, I believe that San Francisco is increasingly becoming more racist. People don't see it because we're such a liberal area, but, and of course, since we elected a black mayor, how are you going to be able to prove San Francisco is racist? Well, I got a lot of evidence. Let me tell you what I did this past week. Before I get to that, I just read in yesterday's newspaper, local attorney John Burris, you know the name, you love him, you hate his hairstyle. He is bringing forth a lawsuit. And the lawsuit is about 3 black men who were treated with great discrimination on a construction site here in San Francisco. Doesn't surprise me. 2 of these 3 black men complained to their employer and were, they claim, subsequently retaliated against and let go. Well, this past week, in the June 19 regular Board of Supervisors meeting, I got up to speak at my 2 minutes. And I told the 11 board members that for the next 10 weeks, I was going to tell 10 different egregious acts of racism in San Francisco perpetrated by city leadership. And in doing so, it was basically to balance out the election of a black woman as mayor of San Francisco. Because I am alarmed that people are going to start thinking, oh, black woman, mayor of San Francisco, that settles it. San Francisco can't possibly be racist. Well, that's not true. In fact, let's go back 10 years. And I've probably said on this program before, in the year 2010, there was 805,000 people, residents of San Francisco. And 2018, earlier this year, there's an estimated 880 some odd thousand is the count. Well, I think the difference that I calculated was 78,000 more people came to San Francisco. Now, some would say many of those are black. No, they're not. Most of those people who came here were white. And I believe that most of them respect voting enough, they registered to vote. And though longtime San Franciscans figured, well, who are we going to vote for? And then the people who come here and don't know of San Francisco history, they're not going to make the best judgment on who to vote for. And so you have to think of it this way. The main Democratic Party of San Francisco is called the SFDCC, San Francisco Democratic Central County Committee, something like that. Of its members, Dianne Feinstein, Nancy Pelosi, London Breed, and a whole host of others. These top Democrats all assembled, and they were looking to select who they were going to endorse for mayor. So this top San Francisco Democratic club endorsed a gay white male as its first choice, and as its second choice, they chose a Korean woman born and raised in New York over a black woman born and raised in San Francisco. Well, I don't get that, other than to say that's a little bit of racism. Now, I can't prove that racism is the main thing here, but I have these 10 stories. Now, one of the 10 stories is about 10 black girls housed at the San Francisco Juvenile Hall. In February, there was a Black History Month event. Keep in mind, the program director for the San Francisco Juvenile Hall is a white man by the name of Mike Munson. This white man heads all of the programming. If you were to ask a list of all of the programs up at Juvenile Hall and do understand they're ministering to, if you could use the word ministering, to mostly minority kids. I would say 70% black, 25% Hispanic, 5% all the other mixed in. This white man has all these programs. I don't know the exact count, but if there's 20 of them, 19 are administered by white people. Why is that? But back to those 10 girls. They were at a February Black History Month event. The facility brought in 19 women from the outside for this event. 18 of these 19 women were white and one unknown race. For this year's Black History Month celebration, if you will, for these 10 black girls. And I say 10 was because that's how many were housed at the facility at the time in February who participated in this event. Now, you have to ask yourself, what is in the mind of all of these women who are coming up there? And I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't think that they knew that all of the women that they were talking to were black kids. But to get up in there, you have to think something's not right with the administration of Juvenile Hall. The chief probation officer of Juvenile Hall is a black man by the name of Alan Nance. If you ask him about these 18 women going up for this program to minister to these 10 black girls, he would deny it or don't know nothing about it. Why? Because he wasn't there. I wasn't there either, but trust me, I know what goes on up in Juvenile Hall. You don't not know after you've spent as much time up there as I have. Anyway, this issue is unacceptable for me. Am I opposed to white people teaching black people? No. My pastor, for 23 years, from the time she was 60 to her death, 23 years later, I hadn't seen her in 10. But my pastor was a 60-year-old white woman. When I plopped myself down in the church in 1983, this gray-haired white woman was the pastor. I liked what was coming out of her mouth. Did she have racist tendencies? Yes. But I loved the woman. She was a straight shooter. And, you know, I knew what to do with the stuff that I thought was racist. I didn't hold it against her. And I learned a whole lot from this woman. So I'm not against white people teaching black people. I'm just saying that when you look at a situation where you know that there's an awful lot of troubled individuals, and culturally speaking, that is where they do have a major issue. They don't know where to fit in. And then you have 18 white women trying to talk to 10 black girls. Give me a break. Do the math. It's not going to work. And so when you look at what's going on in San Francisco on that level, you have to also understand that many of the issues where young people are getting guidance, they're getting guidance by educated white people. And these troubled individuals need more. Now, only time that they get any help from people of color is if somebody comes into the facility, and I'm saying the only time, 99% of the time is somebody coming out of prison that has an incredible testimony according to their, whatever. So the fact that these are the selections of people who come up to juvenile hall. Hey, I have a brother who's never been to jail. His son and daughter never seen the inside of a jail cell. But the best witness for the young people up at juvenile hall, somebody who has been incarcerated. Give us a break. Now, when I say that I have these 10 stories to tell juvenile hall, of this one of juvenile hall and the rest of other situations, I had this list of 10 and I took out one and I inserted another that has nothing to do with the leadership of San Francisco, but the changing spirit. And so I have documented all of these 10 stories, and I sent the Board of Supervisors a heads up on the 10 stories that I'm going to tell in the next 10 weeks, understanding there is a supervisor break. Why? Because I'm going to do something after that, because I want to know, what are these people going to do with the 10 stories that I'm going to tell? But the one that is not perpetrated by San Francisco leadership, elected and appointed leadership of egregious acts, I have a personal issue. I may have told this story before, but it's relevant and it really paints a picture. When my father purchased a house in San Francisco, he purchased it in the Mission District. And because he was black, he could not purchase it unless he had a white friend who happened to be a white woman first on the deed. That was the only condition that would allow him to purchase a home for his 9 children. Fast forward to 2009, we no longer own the home. A white couple, I believe from out of state, purchased the home and are now in it. Well, we had this next door neighbor, a white couple, when we were there. They were there before we. Stick with me. And we were good neighbors. Well, the parents died, the kids moved away, and a Hispanic woman purchased the home with her husband and their 2 children. And they'd been there, our neighbors, probably 30 years, 25 minimum. And everything was hunky-dory, even though we were not the best neighbors, as I described before, because my brother, they had some wildness in them. But she loved the fact that we were always there for them, for her, the mother of these, of this group. And so when we were no longer there, I guess they were somewhat relieved because of the noise, but this white couple that moved in really let them know how much they missed the Joneses. Because in 9 years, as was told to me by my brother speaking with the woman, and I spoke with the son on the same subject. 9 years, the white couple, the family that moved next door, has not said one word to this Hispanic mother. Her kids are grown up, and I think her youngest is in the 10th grade or something like that now. But the fact that you're living, you move into an area, neighborhood, you're white, you're not familiar with the area, common sense is, well, why don't you get to know your neighbors? 9 years of not speaking to them? What's up with that? It is an increasing spirit that has come into San Francisco that I'm warning against. And so when I am playing the race card, my explanation for this gentleman's, where's my, I lost it. This comment that we don't speak to rants about racism. Let me see if I can't bring it up. Nope, can't. Anyway, my response to that is, I didn't shuffle the cards, I didn't cut the cards, and I certainly was not allowed to deal the cards. I'm merely playing the racist hand that San Francisco and San Francisco City Hall has dealt me. And so I'm going to play this hand and see what happens. But when you look at the fact that this is increasingly becoming an issue here, I have some sad news to report. I was talking to one of my sisters, and I was talking to her about the subject of racism. And she was in agreement, but she was telling me about something at her job. And she had said that somebody at her job said, keep an eye on such and such because it's a racist spirit. And I'm sad to report that my sister's response to me was, I refuse to look at it because I don't want to see that kind of stuff. Well, that goes along with my line of, you cannot get rid of racism by not talking about it. This see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil is too goody two-shoes for the society we live in, and it's not going to help. We need to confront or drag this racist spirit out of the closet or out from under the official City Hall rug. And I'm saying that by averting your eyes, closing your ears, or not even speaking of it, you are basically part of the problem. And so when I say, Mommy, Alan's playing the race card again, I understand that the whiners who would say something like that, who are trying to close their ears to what's really going on in San Francisco, shame on you. Wake up, deal with the issue, and let's be able to move on. Because I can guarantee you, as long as there's racism here, I'm going to talk about it. I told somebody, I don't have a problem against white folks. I have a problem against, I'm against racism. And it hurts to know that people who I care so dearly about would make certain statements to me that suggest they're not willing to do what it takes to get rid of racism. If I may interject another story, I have a white friend who I've known for 30 years. We used to work together. He's an engineer, and I was his draftsman for a short time at some engineering firm. And though we went our separate ways, we kept in contact. And occasionally, we would have dinner. Him, his lovely wife, and a mutual friend, and myself. And we would have these occasional dinners. And because they tend to ask, well, what are you doing? I tell them of what I'm up to in San Francisco. And when I mention something to do with race, fighting racism and stuff like that, it hurt my heart when this guy who doesn't have an ounce or even a sillamilla meter of racist spirit, he asked, Alan, do you think I'm racist? Now, why he came up with that, I do not know. I have not given him any indication that I thought he was racist. Now, did he vote for Donald Trump? I think he did. But I'm not one who believes just because you voted for Donald Trump, that makes you a racist. That just makes you uninformed. Anyway, the fact that he would ask me if I thought that he was racist, and I don't know whether he voted for Donald Trump, has me puzzled. Because when I speak of racism and white people hear it, they cringe. They think that I'm speaking specifically to them just because of the color of their skin. Well, that's not it at all. And if I may add this one little old thing, I tell a story of how I am proud that my parents named me after a particular white man. The reason why I'm proud of it is because this white man was a friend to my parents. And the fact that this white man who treated my parents with the dignity and respect that they deserve as human beings, they wanted to let them know it. So when I came along, number 7, they said, the man's name was Lawrence Allen. And though they decided to give me his last name as a first name, fine with me. I prefer Allen over Lawrence. No offense to all you Lawrences. Now, the fact that he treated my parents right, and I now have his name, what sense does it make that I go and treat white people negatively? That's not me. That's not how I roll. And so the fact that if a person hears me speak on racism, sure, they'll just immediately get all defensive. And I get it. But I'm not going to stop. Because the fact of the matter is when you're comfortable in your own skin, you will have to put up with, the fact that some people are going to point the finger at you. And believe me, I've been called a racist. Well, okay. I do suggest, if you really think that I'm a racist, the proof will be in my autobiography. It's in the San Francisco Public Library. It's titled Case Game, Activating the Activist. There's some stories of my interaction with white folks that I think are priceless. And if you want to know about that type of stuff, you think that way, you go right there. But until next time, God bless.